Hi, welcome to another Consonant analysis. This analysis is on the subject of Peter Sutcliffe, aka the Yorkshire Ripper. And what I'm looking at is the first paragraph of the official confession that was taken by West Yorkshire Police for this individual. So I'll just read the extract. That was the incident that started it all off. I was driving through Leeds late at night. I'd been to somewhere having a couple of pints. You'll know the date better than me. It was Wilmer McCann. I was in a Ford Capri K registered, a lime green one with a black roof, with a sun grill in the back window. So that's the opening paragraph for his statement. And there's a link for that actually in the report below. So what my interpretation basically from all of the markers that I pulled was essentially he seems to be like a Jekyll and Hyde type of character. But with possibly some sort of like mental derangement. But you certainly get the impression. I mean, from all the markers that I've pulled out, there's copious references to God. So this notion that he believed that God was talking to him, that essentially seems to be true. It seems to be borne out by the markers. When I've read on this subject and it's been mentioned that he claimed that God was speaking to him, you sort of like wonder, well, was he just laying on? Was he just making it up? Did he really believe that God was speaking to him, or did he just say that as a means to sort of like explicate or get out of the situation? But based on the preponderance or the sheer number of markers which have a connotation with regards to God in the source reference, because they're quite copious. I would go down on the side of the fact that he literally did believe God was talking to him. So with regards to comments, this the markers I've put them into sort of like three sections. The first section is just the markers as they come. And normally I don't do that. Normally I actually sort them into numerical order so they form a sort of type of a narrative. However, in this case, they do form a narrative anyway, and they sort of like show disordered thinking of the subject. So I've just left them as they are, and you'll find from one marker to the next there seems to be like a cycle where there's premeditation, the act takes place, and then there's an actual human reaction that someone would feel as a result of committing such an act, and it's repeated. And then what I've done is I've categorised the markers into two more lists. The second and third lists are basically with the markers in numerical order as they occur in the source reference, and with one of them being the exact markers. The exact markers are markers which exist in the source reference as they are. There's an exact match in the source reference for the marker that I pulled out, and the third list is inexact markers, and what that is, those are all the markers which exist in the extract but don't exist in the source reference as an exact marker. They exist between two markers in the source reference, and generally speaking, the markers in the exact markers, they tend to give you a flavour of the rest of the markers, and to me anyway, they seem more indicative of something which is more definite. So other things from my comments. Possession. There is actually a marker there for demon possession or being possessed. As I mentioned about cycling, there seems to be like cycling that occurs in the first list of markers. Again, doing it for God, you do get that indication that he actually really believed God was talking to him. Pampering. The marker to pamper a child, which is unusual. It's not something which usually occurs. It's an odd marker. But it actually occurs in this testimony that he's made, and he does actually share it with R. Kelly and Ted Bundy, who were also, obviously indicted. R. Kelly, his particular circumstance, I've done a video for him um, was that he didn't have a father figure, so his mother overcompensated, and in that way he was pampered. With regards to Ted Bundy, I don't really know. I know he was abusive towards his parents and they had to put up with it. But other than that, apparently had a perfectly normal, Christian upbringing. Um, Comparison with other serial killers. If you look at the results and compare it with, like, say, somebody Ted Bundy, who I've done a video on, what I find with Ted Bundy, he was very crisp and clear and methodical, and there was no like ambiguity. It was like he wanted to do something, and this is how he was going to do it. It's very clean. I mean, obviously, murder is not clean. I don't endorse it. But I'm saying in terms of his methodology, he was very clean. Whereas with Sutcliffe, it tends to be like clouded. It's almost like he's in a haze. That's the impression you get when you read the markers. It's not like crisp and methodical. And I think what I would say, there's no emotion with like people like Ted Bundy. I mean, he was supposedly somebody with a personality disorder, but with Sutcliffe, it's like there is a human there, but there's somebody else like in control. There are emotions there. You sort of like do get that. So there is a difference between Sutcliffe and, like I said, Ted Bundy as a serial killer, and that sort of also lends its credence to that he wasn't. I mean, it was him, but there was another agent there as well. He was like a regular person, but there was somebody else there. So in terms of the themes now, I've just basically grouped all the themes together and summarised them. So for all of the lists, the themes are proximity, being close to people, being compelled, negativity, that comes across a lot, as though he had like a low self-esteem. Positivity, which is the opposite side, the flip side. So he was like Jekyll and Hyde, like I said. There was, in terms of thought and communication, there was like deliberation, being thought, thinking about it, deliberating over what he was going to do. Movement, his bodily posture, how he put himself about. Consciousness and conscience. So he was, like I said, the human aspect, he was very much aware of, what he was doing, and he did actually have had a mental and physical impact on him. References to God, they're copious. References to harm, and development in terms of and I come on to this in another report, where I sort of like I take an extract of a statement from Peter Sutcliffe's manager, and he has the same sorts of markers to do with love and infatuation, this type of thing. So yeah, all in all, like I said, Peter Sutcliffe, a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character, who wasn't your typical common or garden serial killer. He wasn't, he wasn't completely emotionless, but he did premeditate what he was doing, and obviously had delusions that God was speaking to him. So yeah, that's all I have for you today. Like I said, my report for your reading leisure is in the description below. Hope you like this analysis. Remember to like, share and subscribe, and see you in the next analysis.